Hey everybody, it's Bob Nagan, and I am your host for the Coronavirus in the Independent Retailer podcast, episode number 35. So I'm honored that you're here. And yesterday, I just had a terrible day. My day went sideways, just a bad day, but it caused me to relearn a couple of lessons. And I think that the lessons that I had to relearn, Joe, don't go away. The lessons that I relearned might be of value to you. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. But before we begin, something super important is happening. Super important. Tomorrow is Susan's birthday. So if you could all get your hand on some love, start pounding, and Joe, Sam, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Sing along at home. You. Happy birthday, dear Susan. Happy birthday to you. All right.
She's turning 29.
Yeah, another 29th birthday. So we all love you, honey. So, all right. Yes. So we have a lovely day planned for tomorrow. I bought a nice standing rib roast. Oh, it's all going to be great. So yesterday, so you probably have days like this too. So that's why I thought I'd share it, because we all have days like mine yesterday during this pandemic. Started out great. I was really happy with the way the podcast went. It was wonderful. And then about mid-morning, I looked at my inbox and I just became totally overwhelmed. It just threw me for a loop. It just overwhelmed me. And I think that that's the nature of living in a time like this. You know, everything's uncertain. The anxiety is all really, there's a constant. It doesn't go away. Low level anxiety. You know, GCA, general coronavirus anxiety. And I had a bad case of it. I wasn't productive. I was out of sorts. I was grumpy. And that lasted most of the afternoon. But then I decided to go into the office, and the act of changing my environment started to change it. And then some good things started to happen. I had a conversation with Belinda on our team, and Belinda agreed to help me with some of the things that were overwhelming me. And that one thing really started to change the way that I felt. And I'm going to share some other things in a bit. But one of the things that I have been trying to incorporate into my life, been trying hard to incorporate into my life, is mindfulness, meditation and mindfulness. Meditation is an incredibly powerful stress reliever. And I have tried hard for many years to get my meditation practice into a habit. You know, like I journal twice a day. Rarely do I miss it. Meditation, I miss quite a bit. But now, what would be one of the most valuable habits that I could have during a coronavirus when all of our customers are experiencing upheaval? We're experiencing upheaval. Meditation. The Platinum Mastermind Group, we start every meeting with meditation. There's a reason for it, but not unlearning the lessons that I've already learned. But a couple of years ago, Deborah Purdy, Platinum Mastermind Group alumni, introduced us to the 10% Happier app. So we were using Calm. I was using Calm, which is a meditation app. But what she liked and what I like and why I'm recommending to you 10% Happier is because every day it's not just a meditation, a guided meditation, but it's a mindfulness lesson and then a meditation. So, I've still done several hundred sessions, but it's not this habit. And it's certainly not a habit that I've had during the pandemic when it would have been the most appropriate habit of all. But perhaps the most valuable thing I learned from the mindfulness lessons in 10% Happier is this idea of begin again. So all of these renowned meditation and mindfulness experts all talk about that whole thing, right? When people learn to meditate, they want to be good, right? They want to be the Dalai Lama. They want to go into this state of, bliss for an hour. But that's not how it works. They call it a meditation practice for a reason. Because when you first learn to meditate, you'll go and you'll do the 2 or 3 breaths, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about, what you want to have for dinner, what you have to do today, so your mind wanders. That is the nature of the mind. But the practice of mindfulness and the goal of meditation is not to become an expert. The goal is to begin again. Sharon Salzberg said that is the magic moment. The magic moment in any meditation session is when you come back and begin again. And that was something that was just came back to me yesterday. It was like, okay, my day went sideways. It's okay. We're in the middle of a damn pandemic, Give ourselves a little break. And I'm saying that to you. Give yourself a little break. Begin again. We have a tendency as entrepreneurs to measure the gap, not the gain. We have a tendency to think about all the things that didn't happen, all the things we didn't do. We're driven people. Entrepreneurs, not all entrepreneurs, but most entrepreneurs, we're forward thinking. We're results oriented. We're action oriented. And then when things don't go our way, we become frustrated. But when I learned that whole idea of begin again, it gave me, and I hope that when you're hearing this, it's giving you permission to say, it's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Begin again. All these things that you wanted to do during the pandemic and you're not doing, that's all right. Begin again. Now is the time to be gentle with yourself. Now is the time to forgive yourself. Now is the time to be gentle and forgiving with all these crazy people. Now is the time to be a good human being. And when you have that perspective of, look, things are going to go sideways. Unless your name is Dalai Lama, you are going to have bad moments. And it's okay to have those moments. It was okay for me to have a bad day yesterday. Susan and the boys were incredibly understanding. Our team, God bless our team. They were like, what can we do to help, Bob? And Belinda stepped right up, just so grateful. Everybody needs to show that kind of grace. Show that kind of grace. So when you start to feel anxious, when you feel like you're not doing enough, like you're not giving enough, that you're not a strong enough leader, that you're not action-oriented, driven enough, that you're not doing enough Facebook Lives, whenever you feel or think not enough, I want you to sit back and say, begin again. Begin again. As long as you begin again, you're moving towards your goal. Yesterday, my goal was to feel better. I began again. And then let me share with you the rest of the day, right? So I went to the office. Respond to stress with action. We've talked about that, right? So I just needed to move. I needed to get out of one space and get into another space. So I went to the office. Here's the thing. Emotions, particularly stress, point to a problem. And a problem, as we've talked about regularly, always leads to an opportunity, right? The problem, I'm having a bad day. What it pointed to, the stress, the opportunity was to recognize that I needed to move. I needed a different space. I needed a space where I had a little room to move and think. That was the opportunity. That was the opportunity. But tell you about the rest of my day. So I'm there at the office, and like I said, I was feeling overwhelmed. Had a nice conversation with Belinda, who agreed to take on some of that work. Really, really grateful for that. Had a conversation with a client. They're going to hire me. Really, really grateful for that. Beautiful day. Came home. And this came in the mail. And this is a packet from my niece, Rachel. And you probably don't know this. I don't share it regularly, but my younger sister. So there's me and Debbie, and then Aubrey's mother, Beth, and brother Steve, who still owns the Mackinac Kite Company. Well, Debbie, when she was 19 years old, was diagnosed with leukemia. And we did a bone marrow transplant. She had a 2% chance of living 2 years. And we did a bone marrow transplant when it was rare and experimental. Thank you. And I was fortunate enough to have the bone marrow. So we did this experimental, long story, but anyway, she lived. And not only did she live, she thrived. She was married. They adopted 2 beautiful children. One of them was who sent this to me, or to Rachel, who sent this to us. And so I'm sorry, I'm just not doing real well right now. These are 2 stories that Debbie wrote for her prayer group at church when she was, a full-grown adult, when her children were adults. And so just getting this made me realize what's really important. So Debbie ended up having 7 different kinds of cancer. Debbie was the strongest, most positive, most resilient person I've ever met in my life. I mean, she is a role model for all of us. She was so positive. She was so great. She was so wonderful. She never complained. Never, at least not to me. So anyway, I got to read, it's like, does that put it in perspective? All of a sudden I get these stories from my sister in this beautiful package. It's like, wow, that's kind of changing my day. And then Susan and I, we went for a ride. It was still like, oh man, it's a beautiful day. Let's get out of this house. We've been in this doggone house almost all the time for, 7 weeks now. So we went for a ride down to Lake Michigan, and in the parking lot, there was a family flying kites. Well, I was in the kite business for 19 years, and there's a little kid. He's probably 8 years old. He's flying his kite. And so I rolled down my window and I said, hey, man, nice kite. And the kid was like, this is awesome. And it was like between Debbie and seeing that kite, it was like my past was coming back to me and going, Bob, you have it great. You have it great, right? Remember this. Remember this. None of our family is infected with the COVID-19 virus. We have an opportunity to serve every day. We are so blessed. So blessed. And, the day started sideways, but then between Belinda and Rachel sending me this, and seeing the kid fly the kite, it just really sort of brought it back to this essential truth that we need to measure what we have, not what we don't have. When things aren't the way that we want them to be, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to go. It was okay for me to have an afternoon where I wasn't my best self. It's okay for you. Somebody posted that when they get this way, they go in a closet with a bottle of wine and a box of bonbons. It's okay. It's okay to react the way that we sometimes react during a pandemic like this. It's okay. The only thing we have to remember is that we need to begin again. It's all about begin again. So I hope you don't mind that I shared a personal story or two with you. I did it because I hope that you will find it helpful. If you thought this was valuable, please share it. Please share it. We are upping our game on Instagram, so if you haven't followed us yet on Instagram, we would really, really appreciate it. We are not we take the weekends off. We're not in retail anymore. We take the weekends off, and tomorrow we're going to have a wonderful celebration for Susan's birthday, and we will see you again next Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.